going on, Jerome's? So we are in the thick THICC of draft season, and it's been interesting because there's so many meetings going on, whether it's at the Combine or the Senior Bowl or Pro Day, at the Shrine Bowl, at the whatever, an NFLPA Bowl, at the Toilet Bowl, whatever. And it's tough to see where the team is leaning, right? But we cobbled together reports of the Vikings having some meetings at the Combine, as well as top 30 visits. So a couple years ago, a team started doing so it's annoying when they're called top 30 visits because that's seen as like, hey, these are your top guys. But no, each team gets 30 visits from draft prospects, and it could range anywhere from first round targets, second round, day 3, priority UDFAs. So, but we still call them top 30 visits, so it's whatever. But so teams started doing them as opposed to piecemeal. Like player comes in, player comes in, player comes in. So they have all 30 during a 2-day period, and this year it's going to be April 7th and 8th, and the Vikings we'll be doing that. And there's been various reports of players that have been scheduled, and I'm sure we won't get the full list. It happens, right? And I'm sure the Vikings have met with more players at the Combine as well as Pro Days and blah, blah, blah. But the Vikings, here's what we have right now. So this is what we've cobbled together from Walter Football, who is really good at tracking all these things, as well as cribbing from social media, all the reports there. Plus, it's important to note that the Vikings had a very large presence at Auburn's Pro Day, and they have several defensive players there, so you can list all of them there, Nehemiah Pritchett and company, but as of right, here's what we put together. So quarterbacks-wise, Jaden Daniels. So basically, you could have every tier 1 player at the Combine, right? But Jaden Daniels, LSU. Now, the reports are the Vikings were looking for a meeting at the Pro Day and maybe even a private workout, but Jaden Daniels, I don't know. I don't know what to believe right now. It's pure BS season. Either way, hasn't gone down. Now, Drake May, yes, it does make sense at the Combine, as well as Josh McCown at his Pro Day. Now, the Vikings reportedly will be trying to get a private workout with Drake May, but TBD there. McCarthy and Penix, private workout is in the rear view, so they have the work done there. Bo Nix, they met at the Combine reportedly, and we'll see. But either way, the Vikings are doing their due diligence on quarterbacks, as well as TBD on if any of these guys will be top 30 visits. And the visits are interesting because you can have your tier 1 guys that are going to be your targets, as well as you can really hit the ground running on some players that potentially could be undrafted. And so you're already doing that legwork. It's like, hey, I'm a UDFA, but I'm going to be a free agent somewhere, and let's go to that place that treated me really nice. I already like the facility, I already like the coaches, so I'll sign there, or I'll just go wherever gives me the most guaranteed money. Don't know, man. But in terms of other offensive players, Dylan Washington is reported to be a 30 visit. Dylan Johnson, nailed it. 5'11", 217. Didn't test the greatest. 4.68 40, but 1,195 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns on 5.1 yards per carry for the Huskies last year. Previously was at Mississippi State, but we said before. I mean, the complexion of that natty completely changed once Dylan Johnson got hurt. McAllen Castles. So, interesting name, a little bit older of a prospect, 6'4", 244. Spent 1 year in Tennessee after being at Cal as well as UC Davis. 22 catches, 283 yards, receiving and 5 touchdowns on the receiving end of Joe Milton III's Piss Missiles. Eric All, another tight end. So the Vikings doing a little bit of work on tight ends. Maybe they add one late day 3. Maybe they bring one in as a UDFA to help supplement things with Hawkinson up on blocks. And All, ironically, is another Hawkeyes tight end coming off an ACL. Was originally at Michigan, but transferred out right before the Natty. Good timing, bro. But 21 catches, 299, and 3 touchdowns before tearing up his knee. But hopefully we'll be good to go. Offensive tackle Donovan Jennings. So Jennings is interesting. So he's 6'4", 328. He was in college for 6 years. Yeah, full on Van Wilder, man. But 82 PFF pass blocking grade last season. Christian Mahogany, many leatherbound books. He's seen as a day 2 pick. So I do like him at guard. I do like him, Christian Haynes, Cooper Beebe in terms of guards in the day 2 area. But he's 6'3", 324, 9.6 RAS, 3-year starter for Bass in college. 82.2 PFF pass blocking grade last year. And then Charles Turner III. So Turner's interesting. We're 2-year starter at center for LSU. Used to practice against Jaquelin Roy every single day. Let's go. 6'4", 380.2 PFF pass blocking grade. Now, seen as a little bit undersized, and I don't know, like it could be day 3, could be undrafted. He's in that borderline area defensively. So a guy who's going to be a stud on day 2, Marshawn Nealon. I feel like Nealon's being slept on in terms of the edge rushers, but the pride of Western Michigan, he's 6'3", 267, a 9.87 RAS. Now, maybe slept on because his sack numbers aren't huge, but put up 12.5 total sacks during his 4 years at Western Michigan and Kalamazoo, 37 pressures for 7.540. In terms of tools, like he definitely does have them, and he could be an edge rushing project if the Vikings get back into day 2. Also, day 2 edge rusher Adissa Isaac, coming in from Penn State, met with him at the Combine, and he is 6'4", 247, 4.7, 440. Basically, he's the guy who's not getting as much publicity as Chop Robinson, even though I put them on relatively even footing, maybe a slight edge to Chop, but not the gap that you would think. But Isaac, 33 pressures, 7.5 sacks last season. Christian Boyd is our guy. Scheduled for a top 30 visit. The nose tackle from Iowa. So he was a combine snub, but put on a show at his pro day, just completely destroying the bench and testing great. 40 pressures, 3 sacks, 89 PFF grade last season. And he is a bit of a hybrid in terms of he can be a space-eating nose tackle as well as a guy who gets after things as a pass rusher. Now, Taki Tamani, he's the opposite of that. So he is just that 2-down space eater, that true zero-tech nose tackle, coming in from Oregon, seen as a fringe draftable player, but he is 6'3", 300 pounds, 330 pounds. We'll take it. 82.3 PFF run defense grade last season for the Ducks. Byron Murphy II. I love Byron Murphy. So Byron Murphy II, Johnny Newton are my penetrating 3-tech guys in that first round, but a little bit undersized, 6'1", 287, but still a physical freak, tested great, 5 sacks, 45 pressures, a 91.5 PFF pass rush grade last year. Murphy and Sweat were a great team in the middle for the Longhorns. Also, the Vikings are reportedly looking into one of the more intriguing players in the draft. So Quantez Stiggers is a cornerback who played in the CFL last year, was the CFL defensive newcomer of the year. 5 interceptions, absolute ball hawk. And by the way, CFL is a passing league. But it's like when people are saying, like, oh, Tim Tebow can go to the CFL. The CFL is a passing league, man. Anyways, but he's 6 foot, a $197. Now, his story is interesting because Quantez was enrolled in college, but unfortunately his father passed away, and he dropped out of college and was trying to find his way in life. He got his start in the fan-controlled football league. Interesting. And then went to the CFL last year and balled out. So he is coming in with zero college football experience, and he's probably going to be drafted. And so the Vikings bringing him in reportedly for a 30 visit, which I'm in, man. Super interesting. And then Chris Abrams drained from Mizzou. So maybe he's not getting as much love and hype as Rakestraw, but in terms of what he can bring to the Vikings, he's 5'11", a $178, 89.9 PFF coverage grade last year, 54.7 quarterback rating when thrown at, which is good. It's pretty damn good. Also, 11 passes broken up for interceptions. Super feisty out there, despite being undersized. I feel like he and like Wiggins from Clemson sort of in the same area, shades of each other. So again, there's a whole bunch of other ones. The Vikings did have contingents at various pro days, but trying to stay on top of things. It's kind of tough. But again, the Vikings, you notice it is a bit of a scatter shot. It's not just day 1, day 2 guys, and the Vikings don't have a day 2 pick anyways, but they're doing the legwork on the tier 1 quarterbacks. Also, it's interesting that they haven't been associated as of yet with guys like Rattler or Pratt or Jordan Travis. So those second tier, third tier quarterbacks, not as of yet, but also they're doing a lot of legwork on basically the entire spread of the roster. So a lot of day 3 guys, a lot of UDFA guys, again, could be kicking off the legwork and just really getting into the mix on guys that could be priority UDFAs. And I mean, hopefully the Vikings follow up with another great UDFA class like last year with Pace Jr. As well as Andre Carter II. But that's it. As of right meow, Vikings meetings tracker, you guys know what to do. Skull production value.